me. You want to be the catalyst as long as it benefits you. I am sick to death of listening to you talk to how you're doing all of this for them. Yeah, there are a lot of people out there. Maybe half of them agree with what you're saying. The other half, they don't give a damn. You know what, Punk? Some of these people actually like the WWE. Some of these people dig it. They tune in every week. They love what they see. They come here to have a good time. They like it the way it is. Can it be better? Sure, it can be better. That's right. And that's my job, to make it better. But when you talk about being the catalyst for change, really what you mean is you will only accept change if it means CM Punk is on top. Because unless CM Punk is the guy, the man, that's not enough change for you. That's not really what you want. See, you're no different than anybody else that's ever been in this business, including me. We're a lot alike. We did what we had to do to get on top. The difference is, I looked everybody in the eye and told you, I'm gonna step on you, I'm gonna walk through you to get to the top. You don't have the balls to do it. What you did is you backdoor your way around. You try to do it by being a martyr.
Yo, what is up? So on Wrestling with Saint tonight, I want to hit on two topics and then we're going to end the show. But the two topics I want to hit on is Drew McIntyre and the Roman feud and Liv Morgan. A lot of things we could talk about, a lot of things I haven't, because I haven't been doing the show recently. A lot of things been going on in my personal life that I'm trying to get situated. But as soon as I get those things situated, as soon as the kid get those things situated, I just feel like I'm going to be on an upward trajectory. Like I'm handling a lot of things in my personal life that I done been leaving lingering for far too long. I got a little bit lazy, unmotivated, a lot of different things. But we here, and I'm promising you, as soon as everything is situated in my life, not only am I going to be back, I'm going to be back with great content, better content. And this channel is going to grow. I promise you. It can't grow if I don't water it and plant and take care of it and nurture it and all those things. You know how people say the grass is green on the other side? Nah, it's the grass greener wherever you water it at. So I got to water these dreams and whatnot to make them a reality. And you'll hear me say a million times, a lot of the issues I deal with is broke people issues, man. If I wasn't broke, wouldn't be dealing with these issues. But one day, man, better days one day. But listen, I want to talk about Liv Morgan. So I couldn't tweet my thoughts on the episode tonight, and I'm disappointed in that because Twitter account is suspended for 6 days. So, you know, even though I don't feel like I deserve to be suspended for about the 15th, 20th time at this point, it is what it is. But I want to talk about Liv Morgan because I love what's going on with Liv Morgan right now. I don't know if Liv Morgan I do think she's gonna retain against Shayna Baszler at Clash at the Castle, but I think this is setting her up to have an even better feud with Ronda Rousey, because this is still technically a feud with her and Ronda, and I was interested to see what would you do to keep the belt off of Ronda, well, not the belt, the championship, the title off of Ronda, while you try to build Liv and get her into a spot where, you know, she feel like a more credible champion, a more credible, not just champion, a more credible WWE superstar in the women's division. Because I said a couple weeks ago when they was having that little match between Shayna and all those other women to see who took on Liv at Clash at the Castle, I was like, Liv feels no different than any of the women in this match right now. Now, whoever writing for Liv, whoever in the back starting to put this thing together, starting to differentiate Liv from some of the other women who aren't yet on the level of where you want Liv to be. And I was thinking to myself tonight, I don't know if it's the championship or I don't know if it's like a couple of the things that I had said that I feel like they should start getting Liv to do or say and all these different type of things. It's starting to pay off. Liv Morgan to me has been atrocious on the mic. And one of the reasons she's been atrocious on the mic is because I don't feel like she's really given herself an opportunity to be great on the mic, because she always hop into this character where she feel like she over emotional, she cry a lot, like she can't really get her words. I'm just so happy to be, you know, I deserve, like, yo, we over that. Like, I'm so happy that they done got past, and I'm even happier that the crowd got over that as quick as they did, because sometimes to the detriment of great upcoming wrestlers who you positioning to become a great part of the roster. Sometimes they growth can be stunted because fans never let go. They don't stop cheering for a certain thing. So for Braun Strowman, one of the things that killed Braun Strowman back in the day is he became too childish, too child-friendly of a character. He became a cartoon character to people rather than the monster among men. To get these hands was cool at first, but then he said it every single week, and it became a joke because his actions became more cartoonish. You don't want that to happen with Liv, but that's what was happening with some of her promos and whatnot. They became so, we knew what we was expecting every time she cut a promo or whatever. But now, I heard Liv cut a promo tonight, and I heard Liv's promo last week against Shayna, where you basically a knockoff Ronda Rousey, a cheap Ronda Rousey. Like, you're not going to beat me at Clash of the Champions. I like that. Liv need to start. This is how you start to evolve a WWE superstar. Now you're giving Liv, excuse me. Now you're starting to give Liv an attitude. Now you're starting to give her a purpose. Now she's starting to feel like she can stand on her own and she's not just one of the others. Now she's starting to have an attitude that can separate her from other women wrestlers on SmackDown. But I saw her cut her promo tonight, and I'm like, yes, she feel confident, she sound confident, she look confident. I do wish they would figure out something with Liv. Like, I remember listening to Bayley say that Becky been coming and playing dress up the last couple weeks. And that's a funny line, but Becky dressing up the way she did the last couple weeks was a part of her character. Big time Beck's gonna dress big time. She gonna look big time every time she come out. Liv Morgan, I wish they would figure out like exactly what, because her look can have a lot to do with her character. I would even say it would be so fire, because I see the Liv post where people talk about her shoe game. Yo, let Liv actually wear her sneaks to the ring. Like, if you let Liv get more and more into her personality, like in real life, mix that with her character, Liv is going to break out. And I'm now starting to see exactly what fans were seeing in Liv. I don't even know if some of her fans saw her getting to this point, but now that they starting to put substance behind Liv, I love where Liv is headed now. Liv is starting. She don't feel like a big time threat yet, but she is starting to feel bigger. Like, even with her arm injury that she's dealing with right now, that could probably be like something that they use to have her lose against Ronda in the future. I don't think she's gonna lose to Shayna. I think they're gonna use that to actually build her as like, she beat Shayna, a top competitor with one arm basically. You know what I'm saying? And I hope they keep giving Liv the mic on a week-to-week basis, even if it's just, short, quick little promos and whatnot. Now, we got to address the in-ring work. And I'm not even as mad at Liv, because I think Liv can continue to improve more and more the more she take on top competitors. Like, I still don't think Liv has been put in a position quite yet while she has been champion to take on somebody who could, like, greatly improve her in-ring work. Say a Charlotte Flair, Big Time Bex, Bayley, Bianca, Asuka. You know what I'm saying? Somebody like that who really is going to push her to another level to be great in the ring. I don't think she done took on that type of competitor yet. So right now, I think this is a moment where Liv got to use these matches to continue to sharpen her skills and chemistry with everybody. Because the best champions can feud with everybody. Point blank period. You look down the line and you like, man, look at these matches. This catalog of great matches. I think Liv can be that. I don't hate the Oblivion. I just hate how it doesn't look fluid every single time she performs it. And so that's the only reason I would say maybe you should do, think about a new finisher. Only if they can't get to a point where that shit is like clean all the way through and looks phenomenal all the way through. Other than that, I'm not too worried about her in the ring, because everybody gets better in the ring over time unless you John Cena and you choose to have like two moves like well after your career is like basically over. But everybody usually gets better in the ring the more and more they grow as a top star on the roster. So I'm not worried about Liv, because eventually Liv going to be facing those top women wrestlers, and she's going to naturally get better, have better matches as she fight higher, greater competition. I also like what's going on with Ronda Rousey right now. The crowd seem to really be loving this badass Ronda Rousey. And I'm so happy that they chose to build Ronda like this, because it would have been easy to flip Ronda into a heel. Very easy to flip Ronda to heel. But because they chose to just turn her into more of a badass than a heel, I love that. And how long can she be suspended? Like, guys, come on, man. Let's bring the big dog back. But I think I now believe, and I never was pessimistic about it, but I think that Ronda and Liv can have a great feud. I even hope it get a little bit extended, because right now it's being extended because they really not facing each other, because Ronda basically doing the suspension thing. But eventually they will face each other again. But even if Ronda ends up winning her championship back, I like what is happening with Liv right now. They're giving her attitude. They're giving her character. They're giving her emotions other than I'm so happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? And that helps when the crowd basically tell you, yeah, we over that new champion feel. Now we want you to be, prove you're a champion. You're deserving of holding that championship. Because we got Ronda Rousey right there. And we just had Charlotte. And before that, we had Becky. And before that, we had Bianca. And before that, we had Bayley. And before that, we had Sasha. Like, show us you deserve to be on the list of these greats that's done held that championship. Like, it's not enough to just come in here, look cute, dress nice, and, smile. That's not enough. It's not enough to just love it. All those women loved it also. So I love what's happening with Liv right now. And my only thing is, as far as like the development, I really want to see them put her, and maybe it's because they don't really have that level of competition on. You know who I would really love to see Liv beat? Like, I think getting her a win over this competitor would be huge. Raquel Rodriguez. Now, I know some people will be like, oh, that's going to stunt her growth if you give her an L to Liv. No, Liv is a champion for one. And even if she lost that championship anytime soon, she would still have that championship feel if you booking her properly. Which I feel like Liv has been booked properly. I wasn't feeling how she won that last match, but I told you, based off of how you book her afterwards, that's how I can decide if I like that or not. And I now agree with how they booked that match at SummerSlam. Because now that you see how Liv is now, like how she done progressed, she ain't necessarily a face, but she is a face. But I really feel like she could slip into a heel type of character if they continue to make her like, keep her with this attitude she didn't have. It's kind of weird tonight because, the match she had tonight, she didn't really get to show off as much of her attitude other than her quick little promo, which was a great promo. Like, I think tonight's promo from Liv was one of her best promos. Like, she sounded confident. She sounded strong. The only thing is, I just thought about this. So, you watch some of the champions compete this week, right? Lashley, and I love that Raw had 3 phenomenal matches this week. And so growing up, I was so used to Raw being non-stop action, that and SmackDown. You got wrestling matches, action happening in the back, it felt like the greatest sitcom that you've ever seen, right? And I feel like one of the ways to get back to that is to have great matches on the show. Like, you can't just wait to the pay-per-view to have great matches. And Raw has had 3 great matches. They had Theory taking on Dolph to close the show. AJ taking on Bobby Lashley. And KO took on Drew McIntyre. All 3 of those matches were phenomenal matches. But I got lost in my train of thought. But anyways, hopping back to Liv Morgan, because I don't even feel like trying to remember what I was talking about. When it come to her in the ring, because the only thing was in the champions. When I look at Liv in the ring, one of the reasons that I think it might be important for her to continuously progress, like, I used to think that you could just take your time as far as like progressing in the ring, because if you taking on somebody like a Charlotte, Becky, they can carry over half of the load for you as far as like in the ring. They're going to make the match a 10-star, 5-star match. That's not the concern. However, that's not my concern now as much as look at Bobby Lashley in his matches. He put on great matches with AJ in the last couple, but he looked dominant. He looked like a champion in these matches. Look at Bianca, her against Io Shirai a couple Raws ago. She looks like a champion. She looks dominant. Now obviously you got Roman, who took on Brock, and these other. They look dominant in their matches, but they look like champions or whatnot. But they also taking on championship caliber competition. So they might not look as dominant as, say, like a Bobby or Bianca in their Raw matches. And so, to me, you might want to because Ronda feel dominant and she ain't even in matches right now. You know how Roman feel. I do feel like maybe you do want to get Liv into a match or a feud where she can dominate a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think that her taking on Raquel, because this ascension from Raquel, now unless you plan on putting the women's tag team championships on them, then that's a no-go. But either way, I do feel like Liv needs a feud where she can, even if it's a double back to Natalya, like, yo, Natty, let me talk to you. You've been talking all that shit about how I lucked up in this spot, how I just lucked up to get here. You did all the damage to Ronda and get here. How about this? I want to fight you now. Let's squabble. If that happens, I think that I would like that. So I do feel like if Liv went, which I do think she's gonna do, is win at Clash of the Castle, and I might not even be calling that pay-per-view properly, the name of the pay-per-view properly, but that, to me, if that can happen with Liv, you get her a little match in there, a feud in there where she can look as dominant as Bob. Now, obviously, Bobby and Bianca done been champions before. They know what it's like to be a champion. They done held titles before, so they don't have to just, work their way into feeling and wrestling like a champion and walking and talking like they've been champions, so they know what it's like. This is still new for Liv, and she getting better. Like, she is truly getting better. Which leads me into the next topic I wanted to talk about. And listen, I don't want to be hypercritical. I don't want to sound like a jackass or anything like this. But if you listen to me earlier and you listen to all my Wrestling with Saints, you heard how I talked about Liv. And you might have thought I hated Liv. And now you see how the progression and how, it's no hate or anything like that for these I just want to see them become great. And I'm just giving my opinions on how I believe they can become great. Now, I love everything that's going on with Liv right now. Her evolution of Liv, everything's going. I hate everything that's going on with Drew McIntyre right now. Everything is, and I done said this before, but Drew McIntyre just does not feel like he has evolved past what he was when he got back. And I said it. I know he had a couple, wonky feuds with Shane for a long time when he was with Shane and the Lashley and Corbin thing. But for the most part, since Drew done been back, he has been the same character. And that is basically, if he is not the main champion, because he ain't fighting for an Intercontinental Championship, he ain't fighting for a USA Championship, he ain't fighting for a Tag Team Championship. Drew McIntyre is only fighting for the undisputed WWE Heavyweight Universal Championship, or one of the two when they are split. And if he is not wrestling for those championships or competing for those championships or in that picture, then he is just the deterrent for somebody else to get in the picture to win those titles. He's basically the roadblock. Sometimes you might be able to get past that roadblock, other times you won't. That's what Drew McIntyre has become. And my problem is, I'm not mad at what Drew McIntyre is, but I do want people to understand that back with what you hated the most about Brock, because you was like, oh, bro, this is the same dude, he come into the blah, blah, blah. Bro, it's the same thing with Drew. I can see these things a little bit deeper, in my opinion. I'm not saying Drew is bad or anything like that. I don't think Drew is bad, but Drew is. I can predict every single thing that's gonna happen with Drew McIntyre every single time he step out. That's a problem, because I'm not talking about I know what to expect in a good way. It's like it's become so repetitive, his character. You knew what was going to happen when The Rock came out, something entertaining, but you didn't know quite what was going to happen. You just knew you was about to be entertained. Same with the New Day, same with the Usos, same with Roman, same with KO, same with the Shield. It's so many different, superstars I can point to, people who hit their peak, where I can point to like, yo, you expected greatness and to be entertained when they came out, but you didn't know exactly what was going to happen. Bro, every single time Drew McIntyre come out, I know what's going to happen. I know how his feuds are going to go. I mean, just pay attention to this. Drew McIntyre, for one, does not lose clean to anybody in the WWE that ain't named Roman Reigns. He didn't even lose those matches to Bobby Lashley clean. Drew McIntyre doesn't tap out. They always have him either pass out or eventually get out of it somehow, but he don't tap out. Drew McIntyre, if he's in a feud like with somebody, the only way to get advantage of Drew is to sneak attack him with a weapon or something to hurt him, to like try to severely hurt him, jump him, which is what happened most of the time, to hurt him. But usually Drew, as big as he is, as muscular as he is, he don't really sell for other people that's nowhere near as big as him, unless you're using like a weapon or something like that, which leads into most of all Drew's matches looking just about the same. And so I'm not here to hate on Drew or anything like that. I just think Drew done got into a position where he done got stuck in a box of repetitiveness. Over and over and over and over and over. It's the same thing with Drew at this point, in my opinion. I don't think that Drew, and I don't know if it's just Drew to, booking, but Drew McIntyre has not evolved into a great WWE superstar right now. They is hanging their hats on the fact that Drew, a big, muscular, Scottish ass kicker, and that's just what he's been. He's never evolved into anything else. And one day, people are going to start to boo Drew more than they cheer him, because they'll realize what I already done started to realize. And if I realized it this early, but a ton of the fans haven't, where you can just have him go out there and kick an impassioned promo on Monday that's basically the same promo he's been cutting every time he cut a promo, then you still got time. You know what I'm saying? It took years for people to realize those pipe bombs CM Punk was cutting was a bunch of bullshit and was self-serving. Was for nobody but CM Punk and nobody else. It took years for people to realize that. For years I heard how people was always, CM Punk was right, CM Punk. And now you starting to see people realize, CM Punk was a fool of it. So you still have time to get Drew to another point. But what he is right now, and it's so crazy because he basically is Roman Reigns or booked like any top champion, except for he's not the top champion or the top guy. Think of how easy it is for people to latch on to a Roman Reigns, a Brock Lesnar, New Day members, a Bobby Lashley, a Bianca, a Charlotte, a Becky. Think how easy it is for people to latch on to those motherfuckers, whether you hate them a lot or you love them a lot. And think of how mid it is right now for Drew. Like, you expect to get some type of reaction, good reaction, because he's going to pander to fans, because every single one of his promos have become pandering to fans. You would imagine he would be what Ronda is, the male version of Ronda, a badass. But I don't think they done evolved on his badass. He done been the same badass for years. Like, he don't really do anything. Every Drew McIntyre feud is predictable. He ain't beating Roman Reigns. We know that. But he ain't going back to the back of the line when he lose to Roman either. He going to talk a big game, tell you how impassioned he is. He got fired from the WWE. He was the chosen one. He back, blah, blah, blah. The same thing we've been doing with Drew for the longest. But when are we going to grow past this with Drew? It's done got to the point where it's like they're not confident giving Drew a clean loss. You've now got Drew to the point where it's impossible for Drew to really put anybody over, because nobody's picking up a clean win over Drew. And somebody did pick up a clean win over Drew a while ago on Raw, I believe, and I cannot remember who it is at the moment. But that's how bad it's done become. I really believe Drew done become John Cena without having the success of a John Cena. It's weird booking, man. I'm telling you. And I still believe Drew can become, because WWE feel like it's in a shift right now. Where, you got everybody constantly doing this annoying, everything's so much better with Triple H. I don't know about all that. A lot of NXT people coming up. But I can feel like it's a new shift coming in WWE where they're trying everything they can to get the most out of everybody on the roster. That's what I feel. I just feel like during the Vince McMahon era, which I had no problem with that era because I tend to remember all the greatness that I've watched throughout my lifetime with Vince at the helm. But it might have been times where it's people on the roster who you clearly know Vince has no interest in pushing or doing anything with right now. Whereas you feel like with the new regime, there's guys who will be pushed. Like, I'm still waiting for my boy Chad Gable to get that push. But I think Chad Gable is going to go to... Chad Gable could legitimately be a reincarnation of Kurt Angle. I know that's easy to say. But this dude is just... Oh, my God. Chad Gable's unbelievable right now. Master Gable is unbelievable right now. But... with Drew right now, based off of where the business is going right now, I just don't feel, because like he basically booked like Bianca, but he don't give you the feel that Bianca done giving you, because obviously Bianca done had a lot of great feuds. It's not surprising to me that the only people that's getting good feuds out of Drew McIntyre is the exact same people who we've given him the feuds with the past couple years. Roman, Sheamus, Lashley. Like, it's no different, bro. Like, all his feuds with those exact same people are just on repeat because none of his other feuds really do it. He had that match with Kevin Owens, and they're not going to book Kevin Owens to have a clean win over Drew McIntyre right now. Even as good as we know Kevin Owens is, even though Kevin Owens, the character, is far better than Drew McIntyre, the character right now, because unlike Drew McIntyre, you can give Kevin Owens losses and still book him as a top superstar because those are the best characters. Okay? I understand Roman right now is not a character that's losing, but that's because it made sense based off of the natural progression of where his character started and where it is now. Just because he don't take losses don't mean at one point in time he couldn't take them. Just because KO take him don't mean that him taking him makes him any less because he ain't booked exactly like Roman. If you are both being booked at your peaks or the best you could possibly be booked, then we should have no problem. Kevin Owens. Oh, no, I do mean Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and a lot of different other guys around Drew will not be able to be booked at the peaks at their best because Drew is a deterrent. If Drew is right there in front of him, it's a good chance Drew gonna beat him. And I just don't think he is deserving of that right now. And not deserving as in he didn't earn it, he didn't work. That's not what I mean. Matter of fact, that's not even a good word to use. I don't feel like right now, based off of a lot of the other things that's happening and a lot of the other people, a lot of the other WWE superstars right now, that Drew should be booked the way he being booked. And it's not personal against Drew. I just feel like without any type of evolution, we've been seeing the same Drew for the past couple years. Like, I get it. He didn't have a crowd when he was the champion. And I hope he do become champion again one day and get the crowd while he champion. However, I don't want to see this incarnation of Drew McIntyre as a champion because I've been seeing this Drew McIntyre for the last couple years. He done stopped progressing. He done stopped. One of the greatest examples of being at the top or being a top superstar and still evolving on a week-to-week basis is the New Day. And that's very hard to do. Go look at the prime run of the New Day. Like, that prime run where the New Day just took over the world. Look at how many different acts, sticks, just how many different things the New Day did on a week-to-week basis to get to where they are, to get so solidified and cemented as goats of this business and get the reaction they want every single time. Like, look at what they did on those week-to-week basis. Sometimes they was on both shows, on 3 shows, like on 3 different shows with the pay-per-view. Like, go look at what the New Day did to become, on a week-to-week basis to keep things fresh. how they incorporated real life things that was happening. Like, just go look at those different things that the New Day did. That's how you, when you're at the top, or when you're a top, superstar, tag team, whatever you want to say, that's a great. Now, some people might say the New Day is an extreme example. I don't believe so, because I remember where the New Day started and where they ended up, and I can remember that run, that in the middle of they becoming greats, where they was just killing it for like 2-3 years span, where they was just fresh. And then that back end where people tried to say, oh, well, the New Day kept winning, and then New Day quickly reminded you, yeah, this is why we keep. Now, I never said I hate the New Day winning, because I already understood. I saw, it wasn't hard for me to see what was happening to the titles when they would go on to some other tag team. Like the feud that they had with Titus O'Neil and Darren. I can't remember his name, and I can't remember the name of that team. But the feud they had with those dudes was a great feud. Oh man, that was the highlight of Titus and Darren's careers at that point, basically. And as soon as they got those titles after that phenomenal run against the New Day, they fell flat. And you had to put the titles back on the New Day once again to revitalize the tag team division. It's like The Rock said about being Viagra for movies. The New Day and the Usos were Viagra for the tag team division for so long. They still are. They still are. That's why I hope they flip this Viking Raiders situation into a resurgence of the New Day. I just don't know how healthy in real life the New Day members are. So I don't know if that's actually something that's going to happen, if this is actually like a Viking Raiders build, knowing that this won't end up with them taking those chips off of the bloodline. But, that's just my thoughts on Liv. And, I love everything that's going on with Liv right now. I can clearly see the character progression, the character evolution, everything that I wished and was hoping was going to happen with Liv to make her a better character. Because eventually I just thought they had to get out of that state of that comfortable booking of Liv, because you have so many dogs on your roster that Liv have to go out there and compete against. It's not good enough to play it safe the way they was playing it with Liv. You had to realize, and it's still a lot of work left to do, but you had to realize the type of talent that you had there and what you could do if you fully committed yourselves to taking legitimate shots with Liv, because Liv can be great. I heard it tonight in that promo. She sounds like she can be a credible champion. And I do think Liv, like I said, is going to get better in the ring. So I'm going to keep updating, y'all on that, on her in-ring matches and whatnot. But just know that's not me being hypercritical or me being a dickhead. I'm fully invested on this, making Liv Morgan a top type of, because the women's division is just so goated right now that the more greats that you, legitimate greats, not just great because you having a match with Charlotte and Bianca and Sasha if she ever come back. No, great because you can carry your weight in that match. It can be you carry 50-50 of this match and it's going to be a banger. I won't live to get to that, because the WWE Women's Division to me might easily be the greatest women's division of any wrestling promotion to have ever existed. Like, this is insane talent. And I know Charlotte going to come back in phenomenal shape. She always come back in phenomenal shape. She just got married. Charlotte going to come back killing. So when you got them type of dogs, you got to really turn Liv into a dog. Like, you got to legitimately put in that work to try to get Liv to become a dog. And if she can't become it, at least you actually put in work. But now in the WWE, that's not how it works. Just like one shot and then, nope, they couldn't become it. You give them multiple shots. But, and my thoughts on Drew, no diss to Drew McIntyre. Like I said, I like Drew. I just think his character has been on pause for a long time. Like, the booking has been the same. People who heard his promo on Monday heard an impassioned fire promo. The fact that a lot of people say that's Drew's best promo should tell you how you actually felt about Drew over the last couple months. It's hard to pick apart which is the best KO promo you done heard, because KO cut so many great promos. It's hard to say. And the funny thing is, it ain't even just promo. KO just is great. He don't need to actually be sitting there cutting a promo, talking to another wrestler. He can just be talking to the announcer in the back and be great. Like, KO is great at being serious. He great at being funny. Excuse me. The man can do it all. I think right now we've gotten so stuck. And it's not a bad thing for Drew to be a certain type of character. Brock Lesnar is what he is. But look at the difference. And I hate it when people just look at that one stint of Brock. You had to have watched Brock before he went to the UFC, and Brock this last. The closest thing, if you didn't get to see Brock before he got to the UFC, was Brock this recent run, where he was just as fun as possible. Even though he showed these type of things before, when he won Money in the Bank and he was using it as a beatbox. Like, Brock Lesnar, when he was a heel, I really think that's when Brock really gave you nothing. But face Brock Lesnar is basically what Drew should strive to be. An ass kicker who can still give you some. Now, I will say this. Brock can cut corny promos and things like that, but because Brock is who he is, it just is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that really is a bad example. But I think what it is with Brock, because Brock still was competing against a whole bunch of fucking studs and things like that. And Brock knew how to still put others over and sell for others. And, you know, as big as Brock is, remember his AJ Styles match? And I'm not saying these are things that Drew necessarily can't do and whatnot. I just think, for lack of a better terms or words or phrases, Drew done just got stuck in a rut, basically. Not necessarily even a rut. The man finna compete for a championship. But if he don't capture this championship, I guarantee you all they're going to do is push the restart button on this feud, on this Drew McIntyre storytelling. Because it's all the same to me. And to me, that's a problem, because you can do so much more with Drew. But the first thing I think you're going to have to eventually do is give this man real losses to people who ain't just Roman Reigns. AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, it's guys on the roster, Kevin Owens, who should be able to beat Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre being booked like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, but not actually having those accolades and the actual, you know, being those dudes, to me is actually becoming a bit of a problem. But, you know, I'll expand on that even more so down the road. But I appreciate y'all for joining me on a quick episode of Wrestling with Saint. Please tell somebody you fuck with him and that you love him. Go out there and try to make somebody else's day, night, evening so much more better than it was. If you're thinking of yourself to send somebody a dope text, send it. If you're thinking about telling somebody you love them or you fuck with, tell them. Life's short, and things happen in life that we never can truly understand at times. So it's best to actually try to do the things that we do understand, especially when they come out of a place of happiness and love, man. So tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. I appreciate you for joining me, man. Follow my socials. Subscribe to the channel if you want to. Share the channel with somebody. And I appreciate you for it. I really will. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.